Yeah, y'all looking at the correct page, y'all. I know this is a huge shock for y'all, but I said I was going to be as fair as possible with the political commentary. So even though y'all know I do not stand for this person at all, he very much irritated me, and y'all seen how pissed off I was with Bernie Sanders at the Atlanta debates, along with a slew of other candidates that were running. But Bernie Sanders especially was among the most hypocritical of that night. However, we still going to give his darn gone Phil the Burn team his darn gone fateful right to fair commentary, fair as I can give it. So I'm now here to discuss issues because I feel like even on the opposite side, you definitely need to see what your opponents is presenting to see how your candidates is matching up as well. So it's still a good opportunity for people who do not like Bernie Sanders for a myriad of reasons. Some of us more legitimate reasons than others. Mr. Reparations for Jewish people in 2015, but reparations for black people is divisive. I don't even need to say more on that. But let's go on here and get into the issues and see if he can actually convince me on some other stuff. So we already know he's the champion of, the Medicare for all, tuition free up to universities. What else? Tuition free universities, $15 an hour minimum wage. I done explained the problem with that. How, if you just go in there and raise it, that creates a problem for, jobs that falls in between. You need to give time for other jobs to properly acclimate to a higher pay rate. And especially if you do it because when the president get elected in, and I want to just break this down real quick. I know this is going to sadden a lot of people, but we have to be rational when it comes to this. Even if he was to get $15 minimum hour, wage pass, do you know how disrespectful that is to a teacher who is making $12 an hour? But yeah, they get 15, but now they making the same pay as a fry cook. The same thing with some firefighters. You have police officers and other first responders who make around that. You have licensed LP, licensed practitioner nurses that make about $14 an hour. So I think those jobs need to have time to acclimate up to another price range of pay. And if he does that upon getting in the office, that messes stuff up because people tend to plan their payouts to their employees months in advance. So what happens is if you change the minimum wage structure up and they'll not give those time for those jobs to acclimate, it just throws everything off. So that's my problem with the $15 an hour minimum wage, where it will affect people in that awkward tax bracket like me, that is like in the $12 to $15 an hour, range. Like give those jobs time to go up to $18, $20 an hour. Free college to universities. Like I said, then it will eliminate the need for, community colleges unless, the universities still have that restriction of, room and board requirement forcing, freshmen on campuses. But other than that, I feel like it won't be no need for, community colleges if the university is free itself. You can go get your associate's degree directly from the university. So that's my issue with the free education all the way up to the university. But I am for it, on the community college and the trade college level, upwards to $25,000. Then if you go back to extend on that degree, it covers $12,500. And then after that, you rely on your regular Pell Grant, which I think should be expanded. I think the current Pell Grant is $6,000. I think we could afford to add an extra $1,000 onto the Pell Grant. So that's where I stand on the education issues. And of course, I'm actually for the debt forgiveness, for forgiving the student loan debts. But then I told y'all, I think his is only forgiving the federal student loan debt versus Elizabeth Warren's actually gives an option. And I haven't heard Bernie Sanders' camp talk about converting private, because I have private loans. But Elizabeth Warren talks about converting the private loans into federal loans that can be forgiven. Bernie Sanders, when he talks about student loan forgiveness, He's just talking about the federal Stafford loan and stuff like that. He ain't talking about the actual private loans that we have. And then, so I think that's more realistic on Elizabeth Warren's side. And then she gives the price limit of $50,000. I think that's very reasonable. So that's where I think she does better on that than Bernie Sanders. Because I don't think Bernie Sanders even have a limit. I think you can have $300,000-$400,000 in student loan debt and he'd be willing to forgive it. So maybe we'll see in the issues, maybe if he has a cap on how much student loan is forgiven. But he never highlights the amount on the campaign trail versus I've heard Elizabeth Warren go in more intricate detail. She is more, skilled at, explaining her plans versus Bernie Sanders. He just leaves it open in the air. And then, of course, all of them is with the Green New Deal and, a myriad of other issues. Raise teacher pay. We all in agreement with that. We all think our teachers should be getting paid $60,000 an hour. So, all in agreement with that. So, now let's get on into it. We're now 6 minutes into the video. Let's see how many issues he has. Okay, so it's not as long as the other ones. Oh, wait a minute. No, I guess I lied. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Count the issues real quick. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And of course, we ain't going to use Andrew Yang as the standard because, Andrew Yang got like 142 policies and we done went through all of them in a 7-part series video. And then we have Marion Williamson. She had quite a bit. And then we got Tulsi Gabbard. I just did the first part out of a 7-part series with her. She got 42 policies. Oh, see, I done lost count, y'all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So he's up there as well. 25 policies and counting. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Okay, is he going to beat out on Tulsi Gabbard? Oh, nope, not quite. So 10 policies less than Tulsi Gabbard's. So let's go on to the first one. A welcome and safe America for all. Institute a memorandum on deportations until a thorough audit of past practices and policies is complete. Reinstate an Hispanic DACA and develop a humane policy for those seeking asylum. Completely reshape and reform our immigration enforcement center, including breaking up ICE and CBP and redistributing those functions to their proper authorities. Dismantle cruel and inhuman deportation programs and detention centers and reunite families who have been separated. I'm going to give a little bit pushback on that in a moment. Live up to our ideals as a nation and welcome refugees and those seeking asylum, including those displaced by climate change. I'm going to give a little bit pushback on that as well, but let's continue on. This country is a nation of immigrants. Other than native people of the Americas, every one of our families came here from somewhere. Some came by choice, some by necessity, and others in chains. And we have developed as a nation. Each of us have contributed to the growth and prosperity of America in our own way, and our nation has been most successful and most true to its ideals when the prosperity has been shared among us all. In many ways, that is what the campaign is about, building a movement to create an America where everyone shares in the prosperity that they and their ancestors helped create. To Bernie, immigration is personal. Bernie's father came to the United States at age 17 with no money and knowing almost no English. He didn't have much of an education and no real skills, but he built a life for himself and his family through determination and hard work. Millions of immigrant families in the United States today are doing the exact same thing. That is the story of Bernie's family and the story of America. We have welcomed those who seek the American dream and build our communities and strengthen our economy. More importantly, we have served as a place of refuge and beacon and hope for those fleeing prosecution and danger in their native countries, leading the world by example. We now have a president who's a racist, a xenophobe, and a demagogue. I hope I said it correctly. A demagogue. He had tried as a demagogue to divide us by demonizing immigrants and blaming them for society's problems. He has used hateful and disgusting rhetoric to try to dehumanize an entire group of people, and he has used the powers of the federal government to mistreat and terrorize immigrants at the border and in our communities. We must stand together with our immigrant friends and neighbors and stand up to President Trump's xenophobic words and actions. I never thought the day I would actually have to come up on here and defend Donald Trump. I see that there's a first time for everything, honey. We now have a president who, I just said it. The Trump administration's treatment of immigration exclusively as a criminal and national security matter is inhumane, impractical, and must end. As President Bernie Sanders will make undocumented immigration a civil matter and fundamentally refund the government agency tasked with the enforcing immigration law in a way that immigration as a historically valued process that woven into our country's fabric. Bernie supports a family-based immigration system grounded in civil and humane rights. Bernie believes we must stand up for our values and accept refugees, asylum seekers, families, and who come to the United States in search of an American dream. This is how America was built and has made by our country strong. As president, Bernie will reverse the actions President Trump has taken to harm our immigration communities. Bernie will come together and stand in solidarity with our immigration neighbors, friends, classmates, and colleagues and create an America that works for all. And he will reject the hate and divisiveness spewed by some and ensure America is a welcoming, safe nation for all. Bernie believes that love will conquer hate. For decades, presidents and candidates from both parties have promised to act in comprehensive immigration reform, while Bernie will persuade necessary legislation to reforms to our immigration system. He will not accept delays from Congress, and we will not trade limitless and unaccountable funding for border militarization, detention beds, and deportation forces for a deal that has yet to materialize. Bernie will use the constitutional authority vested in the president to take bold and necessary executive action if Congress fails to enact the common sense immigration reform supported by the vast majority of Americans. Then it goes on to what will he do on day one. He got a whole thing on immigrations, but you seen in 32 policies. Where was the highly melanated? But we're going to get into that. Bernie will overturn all of President Trump's actions to demonize and harm immigrants on the first day of his presidency. This is a humanitarian crisis at the border, one that Trump has manufactured. Bernie will end the barbaric practice of ripping children from their parents and locking children in cages, thoroughly audit and close detention centers, and work to undo the damages President Trump has done to our immigration communities and our national character. Bernie also knows that no parent would take their child and travel thousands of miles on foot except under dire, dangerous circumstances. Not necessarily true. Decades of disastrous foreign policies, decisions in Latin America, and bad trade deals have caused destabilizations and poverty in South and Central America. We must end global inequality in the international race to the bottom so that no human being needs to migrate for survival. That's why we will immediately call a summit of leaders from Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, and other countries to address the root causes of migration. And see, this is what pisses me off, because while you said Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Mexico, I did not hear Libya in any of that. I did not hear Ethiopia, Eritrea, and several other the East Africa, and I'm going to mention why that's important in a moment. As president, Bernie will, and I'm going to let y'all read through all that because I done enough reading, y'all. So I'm going to slide all this slowly. want to highlight this one and point out the double standard with this, because once again, it's a double standard when it concerns race, y'all. Okay, y'all, and I'm back. Had to pause real quick to add some fabric freshener in the laundry. So immediately extend legal status to 1.8 million young people currently eligible for DACA program and provide administrative relief to their parents, those with temporary protective status, and parents of legal permanent residents. Expand to all those who came to the United States under the age of 18 and remove arbitrary cutoff dates. Use executive authority to allow undocumented immigrants who have resided in the United States for 5 or more years to stay here free from threat of deportation. Use advanced parole to reunite families that have been ripped apart by deportation policies and provide for in return unjustly deported service members. Expand parole in place to the families, or as they say in Espanol, la familia, and caregivers of citizens and legal permanent residents and employed workers, and use hardship waivers to remove barriers to green cards and citizenships for as many eligible cases as possible. I mispronounced that one, y'all. Now y'all know I speak English, French, Italian. I'm trying my best with the Espanol. So yeah, y'all, to my Spanish speaking people, how y'all say possible? Is it possible in Espanol? Because I think the word is the same, but the pronunciation is different. Y'all know, once again, I'm a French speaker, not a darn Spanish speaker, but I'm trying. Our undocumented friends and neighbors have always been part of the fabric of this nation. They are in our communities, in our schools, working in our stores, homes, and fields, and striving to make a better life for themselves and their la familias. I see this going to be a video within itself, y'all. The American people overwhelmingly support a pathway to citizenship for undocumented individuals in the United States. They believe that immigrants make the country stronger and contribute to the economy. Bernie believed that it is not a racial idea to enact the will of the people. When in office, he will push Congress immediately to provide a legislation path to citizenship to bring 11 million people out of the shadows, to make our community safer, our economy stronger, and live up to the ideals of our nation. Bernie has met undocumented young people across the country who have told him the terror they live with every day, not knowing whether they are safe walking home from schools or whether their loved ones will be home when they return. Bernie will end this fear and uncertainty in the undocumented community. Then it goes on even further. I don't know whether this is good or bad. It's good for one group, but we're going to get into it. As president, Bernie will push Congress to act a swift, fair pathway to citizenship. Why it seems like I'm repeating myself, so I'm going to keep moving on. See, this is being too laissez-faire. Unauthorized presence in the United States is a civil, not a criminal offense. Wait a minute, is this thing repeating itself, or did my thing mess up? I know I ain't done. Okay. No, it's just that long, y'all. Oh, no. Oh, so it's really that long. Okay. Yeah, this video is definitely going to be one within itself. Our border policy immigration court system is badly broken. There are currently... Okay. Repealed 1996 immigration laws. Repealed 3 and 10-year bars. End permanent deportation. End expedited removal. End mandatory detention. Restore case-by-case discretion for immigrant judges. Restore the definition aggravated felony to its initial intent, violent crimes, and serious In the constitutional free zones within 100 miles of the border. Establish immigration courts as independent Article 1s, free from influence and interference, more than double funding for immigration adjunction to fully fund and staff immigration courts and eliminate the case backlog, end detentions for families, children, and immigrants without a violent crime conviction. Authorize and fund community-based alternatives to detention, which will connect immigrants with health, legal, educational, and work resources. Ensure any shelters necessary to provide temporary housing for immigrants to meet humans' 21st century living standards. This includes medical screenings, access to medical services, nutritional, hygienic, and conditions and supplies, educational opportunities, and counseling. Ensure justice and due process for immigrants, including the right to counsel and end cash bail. Create 14 billion federal grant programs for indigent defense. Ensure access to translation and interpretation services throughout every stage of the legal process. And we're going to show, and I'm going to mention how that's a problem too. Ending the targeting, surveillance, and prosecution of migrant justice activists, as well as those providing humanitarian and legal aid at the border. Restructure the Department of Homeland Security. Bernie voted against the creation of the Department of Homeland Security in 2002, a plan concocted by the Senator Joe Lieberman in the wake of the 9/11 that centralizes disparate and distinct agencies into our bureaucratic behemoth. DHS is now the third largest government agency and suffers from wasteful spending, bureaucratic bloat, and no clearly defined mission. Critics from across the political spectrum have documented the dysfunction and unaccountable of DHS, and President Trump has turned Customs and Border Protection, CBS, and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, into a renegade detention and deportation force. Immigration is not a threat to national security. In its long past time, we break up the Department of Homeland Security and refocus its mission to keeping our country safe and respond to effective to emergencies. As president, break up ICE, CBD, and functions. I'm totally against that. Deportation and enforcement, borders, and investigatory authority will return to the Department of Justice. Customs authority will return to the Treasury Department. Naturalization and citizenship authority will be given to the State Department. Refocus border enforcement on stemming the flow of firearms, drugs, and any at points of entries that have, contributed to the opiate epidemic. Ensuring that labor standards of the border are enforced and stopping human trafficking. Ensure those handling intake process migrants are recruited and trained for a humanitarian mission, not a law enforcement mission. And it's the last section, y'all. Whew. For too long, employers have exploited undocumented immigrants and guest workers to violate labor laws, skirt the minimum wage, and maximize their own profits. Large corporations target vulnerable communities at a source of labor and use their immigration status to retaliate when workers stand up for their rights. President Trump demonizes immigration but had no qualms with employing undocumented workers at his golf clubs, guest workers at his properties. Employers have also used guest workers via programs to exploit a captive workforce that does not have the ability to quit or change jobs. Child, I'm about to give some first-hand pushback experience on this one, honey. Immigration make up nearly 3/4 of our frame workers, and between half of the 70% of the workforce is undocumented. The average farm worker makes $10 an hour. For back-breaking work in brutal heat, working for 10 or more hours with no overtime pay due to racial exclusions in labor law. Domestic workers, primary immigrant women, are similarly excluded from basic labor protections and face harassment and poverty wages. Trump has raided and terrorized meat processing plants, which rely on immigration and undocumented workforce to do dangerous and back-breaking work, while losing safety regulations and scaling back safety inspections, and that is a bold-faced lie. And y'all know I just did a whole commentary on my business channel when I temporarily worked at a chicken plant called Pilgrims. And this is why I said I'm about to darn gone bust Bernie on these darn gone alternative facts that he has going on. I'm about to get into his ass on this. We currently spend more than 11 times as much enforcing immigration as we do enforcing labor standards. Bernie will redirect resources to ensure that immigrants are protected at a workplace and cannot be exploited or a living wage and a union. And he will end the exemptions for horticulture and domestic workers and take action against all employees who mistreat workers. Enforcing strong, fair, and safe labor standards benefit all and not just immigrant workers. As President, Bernie will establish a whistleblower visa to protect immigrant workers who report exploitive and illegal actions by employers, provide an opportunity for deferred actions to undocumented immigrants who report labor violations, restruct work visas to make them portable and do not trap immigrant workers at a single workplace, or self-petitioning to protect workers from unscrupulous recruiters, allow spouses to work, raise the prevailing wage, and include a pathway to citizenship for those seasonal workers who wish to pursue it. Withhold federal contracts for employees found exploiting guest workers. End workplace raise and shift the focus on enforcement from workers to employers who mistreat their workforce. Strengthen the labor protections for farm workers, domestic workers, gig economy workers, and other historical under-regulated industries that rely heavily on immigration and undocumented workforces. Protected farm workers. Yeah, I see I'm already going to have to... I mean, damn. This is just one subject, y'all. And I'm going to have to do timestamps just for this. Hell, my response is going to be at the half-hour mark. Require at least a $15 minimum hour wage and overtime pay for agricultural workers, and remove farm worker exemptions from the National Labor Relations Act and Fair Labor Standards Act. Then it goes on from there. Even with skipping certain stuff, y'all, I done been talking for over 20 some minutes. And here we go again. Restoring increased aid to Central and South American nations. Work to strengthen human rights and fund programs to curb corruption, political repression, violence, and poverty. I'm going to show y'all why I'm highlighting this in a moment. If we ever get through this darn on thing. Life, President Trump refugees caps and lives up to our nation's ideals and international law by welcoming those displaced from their homes. Immigrants make our... Okay. That's just a bunch of filler right there. Okay. And that Medicare for all, and that college for all. Also, we funded... Oh, okay. See, now, I ain't even see this one. So, not only is we just completely opening the border, but now you can come in the border and get free college education as well. So now, how do we even keep a track of how much the money is being funded towards college when now you no longer count the American population? Now you got to calculate the people who can just come in into the border and get a free education as well. No other country does this. I cannot even go to Africa and get a free education out the darn gone blue. I can't go to France. I can't go to Italy. I can't go to Germany. But any one of them can come to America, and just get a free darn gone education, just scot-free, regardless of darn gone immigration status. Y'all see why Bernie just be doing too much, y'all? Increase access to English as a second language instruction. Huh? I guess he meant to say it's Spanish because we are an English-speaking country. So it's like, I'm assuming he meant increase Spanish as a part of the infrastructure? Like hell, that you already got most of the jobs requiring you to speak Spanish now, to our detriment. I mean, it's gotten to a point where if you're in a heavy populated darn gone Spanish speaking area, you as a natural born American is darn gone at a disadvantage compared to somebody who speaks Spanish. And then they don't even have to darn gone be a naturalized citizen and has a greater chance of getting a job because they darn gone multilingual than you in your own country that speaks English. Let that make sense. Build on the Strength and Diversity Act to increase, not cut, federal funding for community-driven strategies to desegregate schools. Triple title funding to assure at-risk schools get funding they need and end funding penalties for schools that attempt to desegregate. Provide year-round free universal school meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks through our school meals program to all students regardless of immigration status. Offer incentives for sourcing food from local sources. Address disciplinary practices in schools that disproportionately affect black and brown children. Pass permanent repeal of public charge status so we do not penalize immigrants who are at some point may need access support grounds such as temporary assistance for needy families or Social Security. So it's like all of this before you become naturalized. You see why a lot of people are pissed off. This is beyond just being pissed off as black. This is why so many white people are pissed off. This is why so many Republicans are pissed off. You are saying now that they can get government assistance faster than some folks. You have poor white people. You have poor black people who have it hard because under darn going ABOD, you have to be between 18 to 50 years old and have a child or be in school or something to get sick. But here you is just rolling out the darn gone carpet, honey. Now they get to apply for darn gone TANF and everything without even the natural. Hell, at this point, what's the point of even getting the darn gone papers? You done made it where they basically darn gone can get everything without even having to darn gone have the paperwork. Let that make sense. Now, I'm not against for darn gone Hispanics who done went and darn gone got the naturalized paperwork, done took the darn gone test, done passed, and you now a full-fledged citizen. But this ain't even got to that point. We talking about people who have not even gotten, is not even able to speak English. You is darn gone making it where we are forced to darn gone have to learn Spanish. You talking about darn gone forcing us to learn Spanish to darn gone help them who's coming in here to help their damn selves. Now, I'm not trying to push nobody out who's trying to darn gonna come here and pull themselves up. But, bitch, don't make my life uncomfortable now. You know that English is an English-speaking country. I can't take my motherfucking ass to darn gone somewhere in Africa that speaks Swahili predominantly and darn gonna force them to change up the whole structure. Because I ain't on no colonizer shit. You know, that's what the Asians are doing over there, forcing them to learn how to speak Mandarin. Because that's what it seems like when you do this. It's now forcing us and causing us to have a disadvantage. Because now we got to learn Spanish as opposed to them learning English. But if we go to their countries, we got to darn gonna naturally learn some darn gone Spanish. Why can't they darn gonna least darn gonna learn English? If you coming to America, the least that you can damn do, since our laws are in English, since our Constitution is in English, I think it's not that hard to at least say that the one requirement is for you to learn fluent English coming here. You should not come here and darn gonna make me feel displaced in my own motherfucking home as a black descendant of American Chickasaw slaves that helped build up the damn country. See, this is the shit that pisses a lot of black people off. But we're going to keep going on. Trump has, okay, more darn gonna talk about Trump. And then more is what he going to do as president. Okay, y'all had to put my clothes in the laundry. See, we've been doing this video for so long. I done went through a whole darn wash set and darn now going to laundry. And this is just one issue. Lord Jesus, he might have 10 or less issues than darn Toast the Gabbard, but his takes a whole video just on one topic. I might have to do about 30. No, I just choose the best 10 issues that he got. That's all y'all getting out of me for the Bernie fans. But where was I at that pissed me off? Eliminate discrimination facing LGBTQ families throughout immigration laws, including making sure that all children born to U.S. citizen parents have acquired citizenship regardless of a biological relationship. Okay, see, there goes that confusing language. Because if they're... So is he saying, wait a minute, eliminate discrimination facing LGBTQ families? See, okay, we was talking about immigration reform. And this is where you throw the curveball in, because now you're bringing LGBTQ. See, I don't like that co-opting shit. Like, keep the darn issue on one thing. Like, as an LGBTQ person, we don't feel like after reading all this for 30-some minutes, you just sprinkle LGBTQ in here for what reason? And then I seen blackness earlier. For what reason? See, this is why black people so pissed off. Whenever we get mentioned, we always get mentioned as if we secondary. But we the ones born here. But y'all notice that the only time that I mentioned black people in any capacity was in the secondary sense. Y'all see that bullshit? And y'all see when we started this video that he had a plan for everybody but 15% of the population. Bernie Sanders has shown that he can darn create a policy that takes over a half hour to darn dissect for people who have not even became citizens. So it's not about their lives being in danger, this, that, and third. My heart goes out for them. As a person who lives black in America and my life is dangerous and my life is in danger as soon as I go out the door, I can empathize with their darn plight. Because you running from a country putting you in danger, honey, I darn have to deal with the bullshit that come through us here every day. And you get to come here and be treated far better than what I'm treated in my own country. And then it gets to the point where you get all these protections. Where's the protection for me? And now you saying through immigration laws, including making sure that all children born to U.S. citizen parents have acquired citizenship regardless of a biological relationship. See, there's that confusion. Are you saying that adopted children automatically become citizens? And because what's going on now with the Mexico scandal, I seen this reported on my girl Nala Says channel, is a lot of people been smuggling children through the border that turned out to not even be theirs biologically. There was some trafficking going on, but because the women was the ones coming through, they get to say, oh, well, this is my daughter or whatever. See, they don't mention those types of stuff. We just mentioned the stereotypical men, trafficking the women and all of that. But we never mentioned about the women passing these children off as their own. How you deal with that one? Because now you try to make it where if the person has gotten their stuff together, but they're trafficking in more of the other Mexicans in, even if they're not biologically related to them, now they fall under protection status. Now, how does that shit work, Bernie? And then, of course, since you trying to break up ICE and all of that, they can't do their due diligence to even investigate the matter. Of, okay, this person is not related to you. Who child this belongs to? You saying that you's the adopted mother, where's the paperwork? Oh, but we can't ask you about no paperwork because the way that Bernie's trying to put these things out, now we got HIPAA laws. If we ask anything regarding statuses towards doggone Hispanics, oh, your ass can be in trouble. So now the people who are trafficking in, just because some of them look like innocent women, and some of them are, so I'm not disregarding the ones who fall in that case, who is bringing their children across the border, and they are in legitimate danger. But I'm talking about the ones who have no biological connection. and then we asking who the La Familia is, but we can't ask them really nothing because of HIPAA laws. And now you trying to grant them automatic darn protection. I'm trying to figure out, how does this make sense, Bernie? Let it make sense. Okay, now we at the end. So what pissed me off with this is, number one, was the lie that Hispanics does not have. Honey, I worked at a chicken plant where they actually have more benefits than black people here. It's gotten to the point where they got more stuff protecting them than black people do. Because if a black person goes to the plant, and I just reported this on my business channel, if a black person complains about back-breaking pain work that is hurting them, they are let go. They don't want nobody black nor white. So this is the one time where it affects black people and white people. But majority of black people work at the plant versus white people. White people are more in the managerial positions. But the white people who work there, the black people that work there, if they were playing on pain, they are quickly thrown out the door. I had a seizure on the job. I had a seizure due to being put in a place that I was not authorized to work. I was assigned one position, and I was put in another position that I was not properly trained for, that they just threw me up there. And then by the time they put me back in my darn position, I had a full grand mal seizure. Had to be darn put out on the gurney and everything. Taken to the hospital. And then they darn blacklisted me from being able to get my job back. Where's the defense for me, Bernie? Where is my darn protection, Bernie? And then I found out several other people who are black got darn kicked out of their position. Where's the protection for us, Bernie? But it's a Hispanic though. My mother tells me they get to complain. Oh, they changed some shit up real quick because they know their strength in numbers. And this is why I say we as black people fail. Because we don't have that same unity. I will give Hispanics this. Honey, they got stronger unity than us as black people. We are too individualistic as black Americans. Because we don't darn if one of us hurts, we don't, it'd be like, honey, I still need my darn job. That sucks that it happened to you. And then it happens to you. The same pattern happens. But honey, let something unfair goes to one of them Hispanics, they all threaten to walk about that bitch. And they got so much security and shit going on with them, with people like Bernie caping for them. Honey, they don't want that smoke coming down upon pilgrims. So what they do is they bend over backwards if your last name is Jose or the Pedro or Rodriguez, Fitzgerald. Hell, they darn gave me a little bit of favoritism for a little bit moment when they least thought I was Afro-Latina. But once they once they heard this southern accent and found out I was from America, boom, boom. See, because with my look, you don't know what's going on at first. First, you see my name, you think I'm Hispanic. Then when you see me, you think I'm Ethiopian. Because at Pilgrims, where I work at, there's a lot of East Africans out there as well. So I confuse everybody. I'm very ambiguous when it comes to me because number one, my name sounds Hispanic, and then when you see me in person, you can't tell me apart from the Ethiopians that work here. You can't tell me apart from the Etrians that work here. I also speak fluent French, so I understand what they're saying. So when I'm speaking back to them in French, you're thinking that I'm also Ethiopian. So I only got a little bit of reprieve because you thought I was darn one of them. But when you look through my medical paperwork and found out that I was an American black person, oh, it was a different ball game. I was seen good and favorable working alongside my fellow when I was working along my Ethiopian sisters. But once you found out that I was a black sister, honey, y'all got my ass on up out of there. But honey, my mother told me about African. They went down to to the nursing station complaining about darn on wrist pains, honey, they didn't have to work that position no more. But if my mother darn gonna did the same thing, they told her, oh, well, you just better rub yourself down with some being gay and stuff like that. That's what they tell us as black people, as white people born and raised here. But a foreign African that's came here, and I give them this, honey, it's hard, it's backbreaking work. So anybody working in that plant, I will give you this. Honey, you is darn gonna working your ass off. But the thing is, you still get to get treated better than darn gone people who are born and raised here under people like Bernie Sanders quicker than black people. That's what pisses a lot of us off, and that's what creates the unnecessary division. So yes, Donald Trump is stirring the pot too, but this is why I say Bernie Sanders is no better. Because Bernie Sanders go from trying to fight hate with over favoritism. And that's not going to work with black people. Because this is what will make darn gone black people actually darn gone go to Donald Trump. Because now you're coddling and favoritizing. You're not trying to make it equal. Because you're not addressing black people who are displaced from their jobs. There is still black people who is discriminated against based off of the texture of their hair, which I've actually heard Elizabeth Warren make more light of that issue than you, Bernie Sanders. Okay, Lord, I'll get to that later. But like I said, I heard Elizabeth Warren make more light to darn on black issues in regards to that than you. But you're the person who marched with darn on Reverend Martin Luther King, though. You the one that marched with Reverend Martin Luther King. But I have not heard you mention that one time. And then while you citing off these countries like Julian Castro, he did the same thing. Venezuela, Ecuador, Mexico, Guatemala. But what I did not hear Libya not one time. Now, why is Libya important? Here we go, right here once again. Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico. But once again, no Libya. Now, you say you want to help all people who is seeking asylum. What about Libyans in 2019 suffering from modern day slavery? Once again, this is what pisses me off with Bernie Sanders the most. You march with darn gone Reverend Martin Luther King, who tried to impose Jim Crow. And you are aware that today, that over in Africa, Mr. Foreign Affairs, since you darn gone co-opted foreign affairs in this policy as well, you did not mention darn gone Libya one time, with the darn gone Africans being detained and enslaved. And the ones who tried to come over here got blocked from Hispanic countries that were trying to bypass those countries to get to America. But they had to go through El Salvador first to get through Mexico to come through the U.S. But you never darn gonna check those countries who blocked those Africans from trying to come here to do the same thing as the darn gone Hispanics. And then, add insult to injury, you're trying to darn gonna make Hispanic a second language. Y'all darn gonna speak in Spanish at the debates, but y'all just ignore the African immigrants. I don't hear one time you mention about, okay, let's learn a little bit of Kiswahili. Let's learn a little bit of La Francais. Let's darn gonna have somebody who speaks some patois for the West Indian people, the Haitian people, French, French Creole. I didn't hear you mention any of those languages. You talking about, protecting the DACA, which I am all for, because that it's not their fault that they were brought here as children. I've always been a proponent for that they should be expedited to the first in the line. Ooh. They should be expedited to the first in the line to get their darn on papers. They don't know no other language. Hell, they darn gonna know English better than they know Spanish. So for the DACA people, I understand that. But for these ones that's just coming through, I don't understand the favoritism. I'm all for the ones who are here seeking asylum. But when you get to a point where you darn gonna now make it where they can get food stamps, they can get TANF, they can go to college completely for free. It's like, well, hell, this is all without the darn gone naturalization paperwork. They got all the rights as darn on citizens for the most part without even having to go through the damn paperwork. Hell, let me just go snatch somebody darn on child up out of Mexico, take my ass across the border under Bernie's presidency. You don't even have to ask if the child's related to me just because I come with a child and I'm looking like a darn on, a struggling mother. Honey, I can come on in and darn on live the good life. Living a good life. I ain't going back and forth with you, nigga. Honey, darn gonna look down on me. Because let's not act like Hispanics don't look at us like we darn gone, what does Amara Negra say? Like we darn gone negras. They get the darn gone talk shit about us and darn gone get the darn gone perpetuating supremacy. But you don't never address the darn gone, the racism that our brown brothers do against our black asses. You see how favoritism goes wrong and how Donald Trump will win easily against Bernie Sanders. Because you think you can combat darn gone hatred with favoritism and you're going to lose either way. Just like we don't tolerate Donald Trump with that darn gone hatred. But what's even worse is when you darn gone put a foreigner up against us that are native here. You can have this whole darn gone list. Look how long it is. You can have this whole long thing talking about Hispanics exclusively. Foreign issues. You can cite people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and everybody. Everybody Espanol. It's just a darn gonna free-for-all, baby. It's just a full free-for-all for all my Hispanic folks. But where do you see any darn on French? Where do you see any Kiswahili? Where do you see Nigerian? Where do you see Ghanaian? Where do you see West Indian? Where do you see any of the other folks? Where do you see them? And granted that they're not coming here in as large numbers, but that does not mean that they should be ignored completely. It shouldn't mean they should be ignored completely. Let's go back to the issues and go and see if we missed something. Do you see where we address anywhere directly? Every time we address is always in the form of HBCUs. That's the only time y'all address us. Y'all don't address our issues directly. Racial justice, okay. But you don't address us directly. You don't see, you can address LGBTQ directly, which once again, we respect you for that over here. However, where do you see Black American directly? This is what pissed Black Americans off. Empowering tribal nations. So to my fellow Native American brothers and sisters, everybody gets addressed directly. Hispanics got an issue directly for them. My Native American brothers and sisters got issues directly targeted for them. LGBTQ directly for them. Even Puerto Rico or a United States territory, you got one directly targeted for you. Notice that they didn't have the U.S. Virgin Islands, though, which also suffered during the hurricanes. Which, why is that? 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 Boom, 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 boom. Honey, cue the patois music, motherfucker. Why you got doggone empowering Puerto Rico? Once again, a Hispanic culture, doggone Latinx, Spanish-speaking country. But you don't got the U.S. Virgin Islands. Is it because the U.S. Virgin Islands is doggone predominantly black? Mr. Civil Rights? Your slip is showing. While you trying to call out one racist, honey, I'd rather doggone like the racist that's up front with it versus the one that doggone tries to march alongside the great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Because Martin Luther King said in his final days he had some snakes amongst the mist trying to doggone slither like they were allies, honey, but they darn on scales was starting to show. And I'm starting to think that darn on Bernie Sanders is amongst the snakes that tried to darn on portray himself as an ally. Because what have you done for black people once you got in there? And I ain't trying to create no unnecessary division. So to my Hispanic brothers and sisters, this ain't directly towards you, because I see through the bullshit that y'all are being used as well. This ain't directly towards all y'all. But the reason why there's a division amongst black people and Hispanics is because you have people like Bernie Sanders tokenizing Hispanics over black people, where you can have a whole plan for doggone Puerto Ricans, but I don't see the U.S. Virgin Islands. I didn't see an issue for black Americans at all, except for the former HBCUs. You can use us as spokesperson. You don't mind using, honey, y'all been doing that since the dawn of time. Y'all don't mind us for our educational attainment and being the shuck and jive. Y'all had that since the plantation. So you having darn gone Senator Nina Turner and Killer Mike and this young fine brother speaking for you, he is quite easy on the eyes. But honey, we see through the doggone false gold. We see through gold-plated, bitch, because it ain't nothing authentic about this. Because when you have these black people darn gone trying to be the face for darn gone you, and they don't check you on their lack of black issues, you darn gone put us down as well. Nina Turner, Killer Mike, and this fine, handsome specimen right here. Because once again, you didn't address the issue going on in Libya. You didn't address the double standards going on with the fact that when it comes to workplace, they actually have more protections at the workplace than us. You didn't address the fact that you are incentivizing people to come here to the point where they don't have to do nothing to get these education or anything. They can just arrive clear across the border. And even in the cases of where they do something illegal, short of them killing somebody or committing a heinous act, it's a civil penalty. But if they come here for a sake of better opportunity, 9 times out of 10, doesn't that mean they don't have the money? They don't have the money. They don't have the motherfucking money, Bernie. So I'm trying to figure out, you darn gone making this a civil penalty. Where's the money going to come from, bitch? Where is the money gonna come from? Where's the money gonna come from, Bernie? I'm waiting. I want some of the Bernie fans. I want the darn gonna feel the burn. The candlestick is more like it. That's the only, y'all flickering. Y'all ain't no darn gonna burn. It's more like a darn gonna candlestick, darn gonna dwindling them by the minute. Cause I want some answers explained. I want some answers explained, Bernie Sanders game. And this is why I tried my best to stay away from Bernie Sanders. This is the stuff right here that irritates me to no end. Because throughout this whole thing, when you mention forward issues, where's the first thing? A welcoming and safe America for all. But the only thing we hear from is Hispanics. We start off the first sentence with DACA. And like I said, they are the most important if we're going to talk about the ones who need to be prioritized first. But that was the only good thing out of this whole thing. Everything else is hogwash. You calling out one darn gone divisive person, and you ain't calling out your damn self. That was just as darn gone a pot calling the kettle black as Kamala Harris talking about anytime darn gone black issues is addressed. You know, y'all go to the church, this, that, and the third, as if you ain't part of that. Miss Indian Harris, elected to Senate in 2017 as an Indian. Now you parading in blackface. Y'all call her out on that, but you don't call darn gone Bernie out on this. See, this is why I do these videos, because I call all y'all. I call all these motherfuckers out. I don't mind calling out Kamala. I don't mind calling out Corey, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren. Because this is the shit that is making people like Tulsi Gabbard a lot more favorable than people like Bernie. Because hell, it surprised me if this video get 40 darn gone views. It'll surprise me if this video get 40 darn gone. Hell, I thought I was going to even get to it. He did have one good topic on modular homes, but honey, I had to spend a whole hour just on this one video alone. Like I said, if this is what y'all have going on for Bernie, he's going to lose against Donald Trump. You trying to replace us, and the reason why he's trying to be so laissez-faire is because you're trying to diminish us as black people. Y'all done already got Hispanics that surpassed us. Hispanics went from being about 9% to now they are around 18% of the population. Let me Google search this shit. I think they done surpassed us, or if not, they're coming close to it. What is the percentage of the U.S. population that's Hispanic? 16.7%. Oh, yeah, they done passed us. So today, they now are 16.7% of the population, and we as black people is 15%. So y'all feel like y'all don't even have to darn gonna look at us no more. Just forget the fact that we were born here first. Just forget the fact that it was due to us that darn built the country up. The whole country was established off of darn maize, sugar cane, and cotton, which was picked by black folks, Gullah Geechees, and some of our Native American sisters that were slave too, because not all of them were blessed to be slave owners under duress. Some of the Native Americans that were more copper color was darn right along in those fields with us. They don't talk about that narrative, though. They don't talk about that, though. But meanwhile, here's what you doing for Hispanic folks. And like I said, on foreign issues, I didn't hear Africa not one time. That would really threw me for a loop. I'm like, God dang. Y'all are ballsy enough to even name them off by name. Once again, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico. Not one African country in the darn gone mix. Even though Libya is going through modern day slavery, I would think that would classify as something that's torturous. And you, Mr. Civil Rights, I would think that would be the main, you would be darn willing to allow them to come in faster than anybody. But you don't mention that not one time. Not one time. You mentioned darn making Spanish, but you slipped up and said English by mistake. Making Spanish a mandatory second language. To the point where people who don't pick up Spanish, like I said, it ain't for the lack of trying. Hell, I speak English, I speak French, I speak Italian. Spanish just don't darn appeal to me. But because I can't pick up on a language that I shouldn't have to necessarily pick up on, I'm going to be penalized in my own country? Where they do that at? So that's it in a nutshell, y'all. That's all I got for this. I don't know what more to say on this. I don't know how the Bernie Sanders gang in the comments is going to even fix to defend this atrocity. How y'all going to even darn on defend this? How do you defend the fact that foreign black people who are going through modern day slavery was not addressed not one time in here? He didn't mention the Haitians that were deported not one time. He didn't give them the option to come back here until Haiti is darn situated with the France deal. You didn't even address, since we talking about foreign policy, about France still owning the majority of the Haitian darn resources, even though Haiti done won the war. France is still holding on and destabilizing Haiti. You didn't talk about them. You didn't darn talk about striking up a darn agreement so France can darn get their foot off of darn Haiti's back so they can build themselves up. You didn't mention that. And it's mighty funny that, he don't mention about us going into these countries and helping to get rid of these invaders so they wouldn't have to come here. Because if a majority of them are fleeing for their lives, for being in danger, and we have more military power than 7 times the combined resources that else in the world. Once again, we have more military power, more firearms than 7 times more than our allied countries combined. Yet somehow we don't never hear Bernie Sanders ever mention, well, let's go darn gonna do some cleanup. Let's go darn gonna go in Venezuela, Guatemala, and kick their asses and restore democracies to these countries. And if they still want to come here on their own free will, they can then go through the paperwork process to become naturalized citizens. They don't never say it like that. They always welcome them in, even if you don't got no paperwork. You can bring anybody's child over here. We ain't going to vet to see if this child is related to you, even if blood work show they did not. We're not going to question you because HIPAA laws, we can't even ask you about, okay, where's the parents at? We're just going to take you at face value to say that, you're not a child trafficker because you don't look like the typical what a child trafficker is. Like there's a stereotype of what a child trafficker looks like. It's just like with rapists. Honey, the rapists here are the ones that will be closest to you. Your members of the clergy. The darn gone highest rape darn gone cases are people in the church. The last people that you tend to suspect. So just like rapists don't have a universal look, darn gone traffickers don't have a universal look. A child trafficker is not always a big darn gone burly man that looks suspicious. Sometimes it might be that woman. And this is not to say all people, because once again, we recognize our innocent, Hispanic sisters that is, victims and all. But when you have Bernie Sanders doing this, it makes it worse on you. Because now it just puts a distaste in our mouths as American people, and it makes us just, repel by nature. Because it's like, we see that you are trying to purposely disregard us. When you are in Atlanta, Georgia, a population that is 50.35% black and 40% white, when you are in a concentrated area where it's the black LGBT nation of the world, when you're in the black entrepreneur capital city of the world, and black issues is not addressed one time, but you mention foreign issues more than black issues, you cannot tell us that you're not trying to replace us. And this is why so many black people are on the defensive and has repelled Hispanic folks altogether. And when you have Bernie Sanders inciting this type of doggone division, it is not good for America overall. So while you trying to call out trying to call out Donald Trump on inciting doggone trying to send them back, Bernie, you not doing any favors to them, trying to doggone push them overly in to the detriment of black people here, because then it causes racial tensions still. You're not doggone making it any better. So you're no better than Donald Trump. One is trying to darn gonna push all Hispanics out, including darn gonna ones who trying to come here and make better for themselves, who are coming through the checkpoints, the ones who were not brought here by no fault of their own, such as DACA children. But when you have, once again, these types of policies, then it goes from, hatred, justified hatred to Hispanics, which I don't condone, to now coddling all Hispanics, ones that don't need to be, thus creating divisions amongst black people. Because Democrats feel, okay, we're going to replace these Negroes with these darn gone mestizos. That's how it's coming off. That's how it's coming off. We're going to replace these darn gone Negroes with mestizos. And it's already working. You represent 16.2% of the population to black people's 15%. When you darn gonna mention all the Hispanic countries, but you don't mention no West Indian countries, you don't mention no African countries, including ones going through slavery, how can you say that this is fair for all foreigners when your wording says different? When you're saying that you're trying to teach Spanish, but you're not trying to teach any African languages. Bernie Sanders fans, you cannot defend this, but I love to see y'all try. I just love to see y'all try. So I give y'all the chance to go ahead and sound down below. Go ahead and feel free to thumbs down. We not afraid of the thumbs down button over here. But to my people who want who think I'm making sense, definitely feel free to thumbs up, because the Bernie Sanders gang, I'm sure they're gonna come through, just the thumbs down when they see that I'm not darn on brown nosing to somebody who's false brown. Because the thing is, they get to classify themselves as brown as Jewish folk, and you darn go. I thought Jewish was a language because they're black Jews. Because once again, another thing with this Bernie Sanders and this false narrative of he's the one for unity and all this, that, and the third. When those reparations got paid out in 2015 that he signed off for, notice it went to the Jewish people that look like him. But there are Jews that look like me that did not get those reparations. Did not get the last set of reparations either. So if you're for equality, Mr. Bernie Sanders, explain how come those black Jewish folks did not get any reparations that you signed off for in 2015. I'll wait. I'll wait. Because Jews is the language. I mean, it's the religion. You got black Jews. You got Arabic Jews that are yellow tone in skin and darker. How come those didn't get no reparations, but you, that if you did not tell us you look just as white as Joe Biden, how come the ones that are you got the reparations, but reparations for black people is divisive though? Once again, let it make sense, darn gone Bernie gang. Y'all talking about feel the burn. Now y'all about to feel this darn gone rebuttal burn, honey. Feel the rebuttal burn, baby. I want my answers answered. I'm waiting. So y'all sound off in the comment section. To my people who think I'm making sense, please thumbs up to offset the haters that's about to come with the thumb down. Share. Definitely share the Bernie Sanders, because I'm not afraid. Share the Nina Turner. Because I want the darn go with it. She probably would annoy somebody like me. It's like, well, honey, who is you? But there's a first time for everything. She annoyed me during the 2016 campaign when I tried to call out on this shit last time. Go trying to walk the other way, honey. She saw me coming. But y'all tag her in this as well, because I want some darn answers in regards to this darn hypocrisy. Killer Mike too. But that's it, y'all. I'll be waiting down in the comment section.